Welcome to 5 and 15. 5 random songs from 10 random albums, recommended by you, reviewed in 15 minutes or less. Okay, song number 1, Aluminum Park by My Morning Jacket. Let's start with this My Morning Jacket rocker. I firmly believe this would-be late 90s radio single would have had significant potential in the pre-streaming world, and that unmistakable Gibson ES5 sound that rips your ears open and is panned hard right, it sets the tone. It really kind of gives us the inclination that we should prepare for a high energy kick in the beat. The drum groove is a much slower, refined, fire style beat pattern, a la Jimi Hendrix, paying homage to the Mitch Mitchell patterns that lives in the DNA of pretty much all rock drummers that I know. But it brings a nice refinement and control to the cymbal sustain in the pattern, and the pattern looks something like this. In that grid, it's a kick snare ride for those MPD users. One of the things I love most is the unique use of reverb on Jim James's voice throughout the My Morning Jacket canon, and that's present here. As the verse moves to the pre-chorus, that traditional piano Jerry Lee Lewis vibe really kind of sets the tone for what we're going into for the chorus and sets a vibe. The lyric, "It's a big, big world now, you gotta like what you see." To me, that invokes the idea that happiness is a choice, and that sonic palette sure resembles happiness to me, in just the way it moves and makes you move. A classic move. The second verse enters with drums, vocals, and big open chords, which create a nice dynamic space for both dynamic options, loud, soft kind of thing, and layering of more tones. This builds back into the original chorus and gives us a nice little guitar solo to take us out. It's not too much, and it's just enough to supplement what's going on in the song. Young guitarists, take note. It complements the song. It's not stepping in front of the song. It's not look at me as I play. It's the perfect complement. I love everything about this song except for the stops in the outro solo, a la Radiohead's Creep. And that shit's just played out. Super played out. And by 2008, I think it was 2008 when Evil Urges was released, this should have been in there. Aside from this one ding, this is a tremendous song. For us. Number 2, Mirror Mirror by Dr. Dog. A fuzzy, sort of swirling opening gives way to a deep pocket groove for these indie up-and-comers. In the song, the simplicity of the bass line leaves room for a nice straight 8th note and a drum groove. And the vocals enter on the upbeat of the 8th note, which is not what I would normally expect. The singing is actually more of a sung-spoken vocal, and it really provides a nice counterpoint to the tune and to the groove itself. The mood is simple, and it fits well, and the sum of parts complex. At the end of the verse, we're hit with a shout of, "There's no reflection here at all," which prompts the question, what are we actually looking at? What are the lyrics calling out? In terms of Mirror Mirror, what are we staring at? What's it trying to tell us back? Because it doesn't seem like we're seeing ourselves there. So there's lots to unpack in the messaging of the game. Then later in the second verse, thinking of the layering, thinking of sounds and textures and timbre, I'm wondering what some of the nice blends are that I'm hearing, and specifically when I listen to a hi-hat, it sounds like there's a live hi-hat, maybe a blend of an 808 hi-hat or some sort of a digital instrument. After that, a nice short pre-chorus hits us with a more extended lyric of, "Things ain't what they used to be, I got a devil after me," which again is more of like a shout spoken lyric at the end of the pre-chorus, but you got nice little subtle harmonies mixed behind the vocals, and it's really calling attention to the end of the lyric, which to me is the point. A 2-bar bridge after that, and we're launched into this crazy, frenetic drive-in, I would say almost triple time sprint, almost like a polka, but super fast. And the lyric is, "They're looking high, they're looking low, have you got something on your mind? They found a body in the river, they found a note left in the sand," which is just like this sudden and quick pressure check. Did we do something really bad? Why don't we know what happened? Why don't we understand what happened? And the air of an unhealthy, misunderstood mental state is implied, and abruptly the song is over, and that's it. Ironically, throughout the tune, the happy tone that's set at the beginning is never lost. To me, it's funny how happiness can sometimes translate to things like zeal or damage, confusion, even though we feel the happiness of the tune. Certainly subjective, right? The peculiar nature of this one, and it being super happy with all this strange mental health implication, evokes really clear imagery for me, and it certainly made me think. And for that reason, and for not having any dings to give, I give this one 5 Aussies. Number 3, Born by Goose. I have a confession to make. I love Goose's songwriting. Not a big fan of the jamming and the improv. And don't get me wrong, I love improv, but these guys are just inherently skilled at writing tunes. For me, it invokes kind of like sitting on a beach chair, Cape Cod, the overcast skies, maybe slightly raining a little bit. Waves are turning, but one of those moments where you sit there kind of deeply in thought. The tune opens with a gentle kind of groovy vibe with the rhythm living in the guitar part, and that takes us to the verse. The singing in the verse is very spacey and verby. You can tell there's a lot of treatment on the vocals, much like a My Morning Jacket tune, and you get this atmospheric melancholy happening, which I like. Kudos to the drummer and the percussion player. They are locked solid on this track, and there's no variation on the pattern, and that's the hardest thing to do. But what it does is it creates that garden bed for the rest of the song to grow on. I always told my students, you want to learn how to play with a band, start by listening to an AC/DC song. Play the same pattern perfectly over and over. It's a lot harder than you think. There's 3 parts to this tune: a verse, a chorus, a bridge, or a post-chorus, whatever you want to call it. It's simple, it speaks without unnecessary playing. Again, another fantastic example. The vibe has a little bit of that Peter Gabriel In Your Eyes, or maybe like a Level 42 Something About You. Different time period, but same approach. The lyrics in the song speak to birthright, I think, my interpretation, and hint at the psychology of pushing through to success, especially in the face of the insanity of the world that we're in right now. And like Rick says in the song, it's enough. It's always enough, right? Remember that. Your passion is your passion. It's important to you. It doesn't matter what the rest of the world thinks. So I love the fact that he's saying over and over, it's enough. The only thing here is that after the tune, I'm left wanting a little bit more. I would love to hear another bridge or another chorus with a little bit more emphasis to just accelerate the ending of the tune, put the period at the end of the sentence, as it were. Short songs are great. These guys do this tremendously well, but I think we're stepping on commercial and like formulaic territory here, and that kind of is a bummer for me. So for that reason, I give this one 3 Aussies. Number 4, Change of the Guard by Kamasi Washington. We're switching gears here a bit, and we're heading down the path of contemporary jazz. Just to basically say that we're going to be all over the place here, genre-wise. Nothing is off the table in terms of listening and learning and providing opinion, agreeing, disagreeing, etc., etc. So I picked the songs for the first episode, and I hope that you can provide your feedback in the comment section so that we can pick some new albums for episode number 2. So again, contemporary jazz, but Kamasi Washington is just, his band of killers is so much more than that. There's hard bop in there, there's big band, there's all kinds of stuff. And I really want to encourage you to listen to this one with the headphones on, as the mix is something that really speaks to this tune and to the rest of the album if you listen to it. I'll have a link to a playlist for all the songs in the episode that you can go to in the video itself. The tune intros with the head, which is basically the melody in jazz terms, and all of the piano chords are panned hard left, and then a snare roll enters panned hard right to introduce the band, and it's like the band appears right in the middle of the mix, and it's just gorgeous. The syllabic harmonies that are stereo back left, right? So you hear ahs in the background, but it almost creates this unique circle to the mix, and again, it just blows my mind. And the wideness of the mix, every note of the piano solo is clear as day, and there's really no mud at all. The album, which is named The Epic, really is one of the few times that I'm okay with hearing somebody say that word, because it annoys the hell out of me when people say, oh, it's epic, it's epic. No, not everything is epic. This album is epic. It's not hyperbole. This is a giant band with 2 kits. You got full horns, strings, full chorale vocals, multiple vocalists, upright bass right up the middle, and just, it's basically a symphony. The dynamics are pristine. It creates places for each soloist to go as they're soloing over the head of the tune. All of the soloing and the playing is patient, but it's full of intent and it's full of intensity. Kamasia takes, I believe, 2 solos in the tune, and his phrasing guides the band in a way that builds from section to section, but it's lyrical and it doesn't create a void for somebody to, go to some sort of intense length in a solo, then to have to start the whole thing over again. The beautiful strings that are happening behind the whole tune, and specifically behind Kamasi's second solo, creates a nice lush pad, almost like a synthesizer would, for the growing like screams and honks that are happening in his tenor, which it just sounds like cries of somebody yearning, which is amazing. It's incredibly dissonant counterpoint against the rhythm chords, and it really is new territory. What I'm trying to say here is this is a cohesive, amazing work of genius. It's a new flavor harmonically, and it's very clear with this opening track from the album that this is a jazz player that's on the same experimental trajectory as somebody like a Sun Ra, Eric Dolphy with the Out to Lunch record, and Ornette Coleman even. But the vision is clear. There's a vision here, and for that reason, I give 5 Aussies. Number 5, A&W, Lana Del Rey. Pretty sure I found out about Lana Del Rey on a Pitchfork review, which is a website if you haven't been there. They're fantastic. A few years back, and for that I'm certainly thankful. I've listened to this song hundreds of times in the associated album as well. The song is poignant, but very careful, if not daunting. It's certainly terrifying. And the premise flips the story of an abused protagonist and transforms that story into someone who is using that abuse as a means of power and leverage, essentially enabling the abused and flipping perspective, which I think is a fantastic premise for a song. And this song is done in a way that hasn't been done before. And there's literally 2 parts to the song. There's an A and a B section. The intro A section begins with a dark and very dim acoustic guitar sound and an acoustic piano mixed very quietly, and then the vocals come in very quiet and almost sound like maybe drugged or just slow. There's a drawl to it. And the first lyric is, "I haven't done a cartwheel since I was 9." And there are several other catchphrases that demonstrate the protagonist's distance from what they were as a child. And additionally, the indifference to the fact that she's a sex worker, pretending to be someone else, and leveraging that work to get to hit a different goal based on the power that she has because of it. The build with the piano in that A section just continues to gently build and build and build, and the last phrase is, "This is the experience of being an American whore," which to me sends shivers up and down my spine. As those shockwaves start to kick in, the B section enters. And the B section starts with an 808 groove. 808, just we talked about it a couple of times, 808 is the first essentially electronic drum machine, digital drum machine. And as that starts to move and the beat moves, we get backwards vocal swells and cut up vocal samples that build the dread before the vocal starts. The vocal starts essentially as a play on an old school rhyme, which you all probably remember Jimmy, Jimmy, Cocoa Puff, Jimmy, Jimmy, Ride, right? That whole thing. Well, this one is Jimmy, Jimmy, Cocoa Puff, Jimmy, Jimmy, Ride, but it goes into talking about her partner being a drug addict, and the only time that the drug addict partner is going to love her is when he's high. Again, another perspective on abuse. And it's in parallel with the metaphor of being a kid, forgetting about your childhood, embracing the indifference, etc., etc. The B section continues to build, and that metaphor continues with the "I don't care, I already lost my mind," and that takes the dynamic to a whole new level, and a much stronger and more present beat hits, and that takes us all the way to the end of the tune. The wordplay, the atmospherics, the metaphor and illusory images that the song creates are very shocking and very real. This one hits both philosophically and emotionally, and the music is the perfect accompaniment. There's a reason why Rolling Stone rates this song as one of the top 500 songs of all time. I don't disagree, and therefore it gets 5 Aussies. And that's 5 and 15, number 1. Let's get in there, subscribe, hit like, all those things that I tell you to do on all my videos. But what I really want you to do here is engage. Knock this thing out in under 15 minutes. Get in there and tell me everything I did wrong. Get in there and tell me everything I did right. Tell me your opinions, but more importantly, tell me some albums that you'd like me to include in my random song selection for the next episode. Thank you very much. See you all around.